So, Path of Fire. I knew going in that this expansion was different from Heart of Thorns. Less of the brutal difficulty, more open world exploration, and of course, mounts. But what I didn't expect was how hard that death scene was going to hit me. More on that later. This video isn't just a review, it's my personal experience with Path of Fire. The highs, the lows, and the what the hell were they thinking? We're going to talk about the story, the world, the characters, and all of that. So, let's get into it. The moment I set foot in the Crystal Desert, I could immediately tell Path of Fire was setting a completely different tone than Heart of Thorns. Gone were the dense, labyrinth-like jungles filled with danger at every turn. Instead, I was met with vast, open landscapes that felt almost endless. The environment was beautiful, but desolate, with ancient ruins and scattered settlements barely holding on against the sands. At first, I wasn't sure how to feel about it. Was it atmospheric or just empty? Then I got my first mount, and everything clicked. The Raptor changed movement in a way that no other Guild Wars 2 system had before. Suddenly, the vast desert didn't feel too big, it felt designed for speed. Instead of fighting against the terrain, I was soaring across dunes and leaping across chasms. When I got the Springer, I was scaling cliffs I never thought I could reach. Unlike Maguma, which felt like a puzzle to navigate, the desert was freeing, and honestly, I loved it. When it came to story, Path of Fire had some incredibly strong moments. The last sacrifice hit way harder than I expected. 1 second he was there, the next he was gone. The way Irene reacted made it even more heartbreaking. Cormier's library was another highlight, finally giving us some more insight into the gods and their abandonment of Tyria. And honestly, I loved Balthazar's sheer unhinged energy as a villain. Sure, he wasn't some mastermind like Scarlet or subtle like Joko, but watching a literal god of war go off the rails was kind of awesome. That said, Path of Fire had its flaws, and one of the biggest issues was pacing. The story had some incredible ideas, but it often felt rushed. Balthazar's plan never really felt like it was fully fleshed out. Like, did he actually think he was going to take down Krokatork alone? Even his own army was side-eyeing him. The Order of Shadows was another missed opportunity. Keto was introduced as this mysterious figure, but he barely had any impact on the overall story. Another issue was the repetitive quest design. While Heart of Thorns had brutal fights that made every step forward feel like an achievement, Path of Fire often fell into the trap of go here, do this 5 times, then move on. Some missions felt like filler rather than meaningful progression, and while I liked Balthazar as a character, his defeat felt too easy for someone who had been built up as his god-tier threat. I enjoyed the boss fight, don't get me wrong, but it was like, okay, he's dead, let's move on now. It didn't quite land the way it should have. Despite its shortcomings, Path of Fire still delivered some powerful moments. The world felt distinct, the mounts revolutionized movement, and the emotional beats, when they hit, really hit. It may not have been as tightly designed as Heart of Thorns, but it brought something new to the table, and I can't wait to see how it all builds into Living World Season 4. I knew it was coming. I had to have known. But even with all the build-up, all the warnings, nothing could have prepared me for watching my commander, the hero I had guided through years of war, loss, and impossible victories, die. The moment it happened, time seemed to slow. The battlefield around me, the chaos, the shouting, it all faded into the background as my character collapsed, lifeless. And for the first time in Guild Wars 2, I wasn't just watching a cutscene, I honestly was mourning. As I sat there, staring at the screen, the weight of everything I had been through in Tyria hit me all at once. This wasn't just another fight, this wasn't just another boss battle, this was the culmination of years of struggle against the Elder Dragons, against Scarlet, against Mordremoth, against every impossible enemy the commander had somehow survived. But not this time. This time, there was no last-minute escape, no second chance. Balthazar struck, and the commander fell. And as my screen went dark, I realized this was the end. But it wasn't. As the game pulled me into the commander's memories, I felt something I hadn't expected. Grief, yes, but also recognition. I've been here before. I'd stood in Lion Sarge, watching Scarlet bring the city to its knees. I'd fought alongside Traherne only to watch him sacrifice himself in the end. I had been through so much, and now I was being forced to relive it. Clip after clip, moment after moment, I wasn't just watching the past, I was honestly feeling it. Every victory, every loss, every person who had stood beside me and fallen along the way. And then, just when it became too much, I saw them. The people who had shaped my journey. Ritlock, Casimir, Canuck, Kaith. Their voices cut through the memories, grounding me, reminding me of who I was. And then Irene, the one I had sworn to protect, the one who needed me now more than ever. That was when it hit me. This wasn't about dying. This was about why I needed to come back. When the commander took their first breath again, I felt it. The sheer will to stand up, to keep fighting, to not let this be the end. I wasn't just returning to the battle, I was returning with purpose. And when I finally faced Balthazar again, it wasn't just about stopping him. It was about everything that had led me here. Every life lost, every choice made, every battle fought. This was personal. Even now, thinking back to that moment, I realize how much Path of Fire made me reflect. Not just on the expansion, but honestly on my entire Guild Wars 2 journey this far. The commander's death wasn't just a plot point, it was a reminder of everything that came before, a chance to acknowledge that weight of the story I had been a part of for years. And for that, I'll never forget. For all its ups and downs, Path of Fire delivered some of the best visually stunning and immersive world building in Guild Wars 2. The Crystal Desert felt massive and untamed, with ancient ruins, crumbling cities, and massive open expanses that made me feel small in the best way possible. Every zone had a distinct identity, from the burning sands of the Eon Ulan Riverlands to the eerie, undead-infested streets of Vabi, and the music, absolute perfection. It captured the feeling of both adventure and loss, making the journey feel even more personal. But the real star of Path of Fire, of course, is the mounts. This was the moment Guild Wars 2 completely reinvented movement in MMOs, and it still holds up today. The Raptor's speed, the Springer's verticality, the Skimmer's smooth glide across the water, and the quicksand. Each one was designed with purpose, making exploration feel seamless and rewarding. Instead of simply unlocking a new way to travel, I felt like I was earning the ability to interact with the world in a deeper way. It's no surprise that mounts became such an iconic part of the game going forward. Character moments were another highlight. Canoxidil, every scene he was in, effortlessly balancing sarcasm with surprising depth. Casimir's internal struggle as she lost faith in the gods felt incredibly real, and her arc throughout the expansion was one of the most compelling. And of course, Balthazar, for all his faults, was an entertaining villain. Watching him go full war-crazed demigod was so different from what I expected when I first met him in Season 3. He wasn't subtle, he wasn't calculating, he was a wrecking ball of destruction. And honestly, it was kind of fun watching the world scramble to stop him. That said, Path of Fire wasn't perfect, and some aspects will frustrate me. The Order of Shadows felt underutilized. Keto seemed like he was supposed to be important, but in the end, he barely mattered. Joko was teased but never really did anything, leaving his presence in the expansion feeling more like a setup than an actual plot point. And the ending? It was satisfying in some ways, but also a little too clean. Balthazar was hyped up as an unstoppable force, and yet his final battle didn't feel nearly as epic as it should have. I wanted more tension, more desperation, something that really sold the idea that we were up against a literal god. Despite its flaws, Path of Fire set up some amazing things for the future, and I cannot wait to see how it all unfolds. Living World Season 4 is next on my list, and as I've heard, it is the best Living World season. And considering how much it builds on the events of this expansion, I'm honestly so excited to dive in. Joko's return, Krakatorik's arc, Oreen's growth, it all sounds incredible. If Path of Fire was the setup, Season 4 was where things really start to escalate. Beyond that, I've been thinking a lot about modern expansions. Jathier Wilds obviously has me very excited. It's completely uncharted territory, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. Or what they did with it. I guess we just got patch 3 this week. Siege of the Obscure looks decent, though I'm curious to see if it holds up compared to the older expansions. And of course, there's End of Dragons, which I already know is going to be epic. Cantha, new elite specs, big story payoffs. It's everything I could want in a finale. Path of Fire wasn't perfect, but it was a turning point for Guild Wars 2. It pushed the game forward in ways that are still felt today. And even if it didn't always land its story beats, it delivered some of the most emotional, visually stunning, and mechanically groundbreaking moments in the entire franchise. And honestly, I'm just excited to see where this journey takes me next. Path of Fire was an unforgettable ride, full of highs, lows, and some of the most emotional moments Guild Wars 2 has ever delivered. It may not have been perfect, but it left a lasting impact on me, and I can't wait to see where the story goes next. But now I want to hear from you. What were your favorite, or most frustrating, moments in Path of Fire? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and help me reach 1,000 subscribers. I upload 3 times a week, and if you want to support the channel, you can become a member for just $1 a month. Plus, I stream every Saturday on Twitch, so be sure to follow me there. And of course, if you want to hang out with the awesome community, join my Discord. Link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.